Welcome to the Transnation Porsche Carera Cup Championship here at the Redbull Ring in Styria, Austria. I'm Brett Keenan, holding basically holding solo commentary for this weekend's racing. It's the season of endurance for the Transnation Supercar Championship, but the Porsches, of course, headline the Supercar Championship, and of course, without much further ado, we'll get straight into qualifying. Matthew Elliott, the first driver on track, followed by numerous driver recruit Matthias Facelli. He's got Alex Little deciding to have a bit of a race. Every single driver is kind of just all throwing themselves out onto the track. The only person who hasn't really followed the suit is John Lindberg, who's been having quite a good race this good couple of races this season. Up to second place at our previous race at Catalonia with fourth place, which could have been a third at Subaca Sprint, the Subaca Super Sprint, but of course a mistake on the last lap cost him the podium place. So 9 drivers are on the circuit for today's Porsche race, and of course then later on this afternoon, 4 o'clock New Zealand Standard Time, we will have the sprint for the grid for tomorrow's Red Bull 125 Enduro event. So the Transnation Supercars are in the season of endurance. Of course, yours truly still holding a 170 point lead over Joshua Banks heading into the event. It's becoming a bit of a 2-horse race as Matthew Elliott makes a mistake on the last turn and graciously lets people through to start their flying lap. So we're going to watch here with Matthias Facelli. We'll ride on board with him as he tackles the 4-kilometre circuit in anger. It gets a little loose coming out of the first turn, heading into Castrol Edge, heading up towards Rint, I think it is actually, yeah, Rint, turn 2. I do know most of the corner names on the circuit, so I'll try my best to remind myself of them all. Actually, sorry, I don't think that one's Rint. Rint's further back, so Schlossgold turn 3, hard on the brakes, heading into second gear, drops it to first to keep the car from drifting out too wide, although he already did doing that, so he's compromised his run a little bit, heading into Roush, and then my favourite corner on the motorsport calendar, Worth Curve, heading into that's turns 5 and 6, so this is Worth Curve right here, coming through here. Normally in an F1 car you take that flat out, as Matthias actually ends up in the gravel as he do so. We'll use Josh to finish the lap now. So this is Roush, heading into Roush now, sorry, Rint here, and then Red Bull Mobile, the final turn to complete the lap. So for Josh, this is looking like it could be a reasonable time actually. So he's going to come across the line and he will set a 29.9 in his first flyer, so not too bad there by Josh. And Sebastian 9/10ths back with a 30.9, so nearly a second behind his teammate. Cameron Owen is actually gone to the top now with a 129.4 and is followed by his cousin of Bradley, Cameron Betts. Bradley not racing today, it looks like he's fallen asleep, so a 29.8 to a 29.4, so 4/10ths of a second difference. Matthew Elliott has gone to P5 with a 33.7, Jordan on a 35.8, Alex Little with a 35.7. So Alex must have had a really poor run, and of course Matthias down the back with a very below average time. Doesn't look like, oh no, John has actually moved up to position 5 with a 33.4. Now John last season took the race win here in the Formula 1 category, so track definitely should favour him a little, but of course different car, different category, different aerodynamic features, so it's a very different ball game. Somebody's just actually jumped up. Maybe that was just my imagination. Josh Banks getting a penalty, Sebastian Spicer following suit. Despite that penalty though, Sebastian still goes to the top with a 29.3. Here comes Owen, and he'll better that to a 28.1. Well, actually it was a 28.1, but then Alex has just immediately jumped into the 28 with a 28.1, so almost a second faster than the rest of the field. That's a real telling point about Alex's performances this season. So Alex has just jumped a second faster than the rest of the field. We'll just wait and see what Matthias can do, because of course Matthias was the driver in the free practice session leading up to this qualifying event. Matthias was the guy to beat as previous, and his best time was a 29.1, so Alex has gone a second faster in the qualifying. Now, it's not like F1 where the trims are different, so you're not looking at different race trims or anything like that. Of course, there is different engine modes, but you wouldn't necessarily run a different engine mode in these games, because it does disadvantage you during the races, because it's unlike F1 where the changes in the speed with the different engine modes might not be so necessary. Well, the differences in the ERS system aren't quite as noticeable. In this game, changing an engine mode is a huge difference. Yes, it saves your fuel a lot more efficiently, but at the same time it does make your car a lot slower as it compensates for that, as Matthias goes really wide into the second part of the Worth curve, and it's actually a 5-10 penalty for that. Now the question for Matthias is, does he feel like he's fast enough to not worry about that, because it will invalidate his next lap if he chooses to just stick with it. It looks like he's going to do it anyway, so, and it has increased to a second because of the extra mistake he made. He's done a 29.7 as a result, which actually translates to a 30 when you apply the penalty. So no improvement up the front, but Owen has definitely done a good job to be up there amongst the rest of them. And of course he's going to be debuting in the Transnational Supercar Championship himself, so it's going to be an interesting foray to see if he can keep this momentum up heading into the qualifying races later on this afternoon. For those Australian and New Zealand people watching last night, of course, with the Virgin Australia Supercar Championship last night held its first night race at Barbagallo Raceway. Fabian Coulthard taking his second win of the season and second race win in a row over teammate Scott McLaughlin, with Chaz Mostert making it a Ford trifecta on the podium, with the two Red Bulls of Jamie Whincup and Shane Van Gisbergen squabbling over position. Anyway, just keep watching here. We've got Sebastian Spicer, who's very loose coming out of Roush, trying to find every little tenth in the book to keep the pace going. The Infinity multicoloured cars looking very different in the afternoon light of this race. So still no improvement up the top. Owen's using someone for a bit of slipstream coming down. He's actually only come to now within a tenth of Alex's time, so oh no, sorry, a second. That's actually, sorry, that's Sebastian to Owen. So Cameron Bex has done a pretty good job too to sit currently P4. John Lindberg's now just improved to 31.8, so his qualifying today not looking too flash. We've only got a minute left in the session, so make sure that these guys know. So we're letting these guys know there's 1 minute left on the clock, and it'll pretty much be Alex Little looking like he's going to take his second pole of the season. The car's vanishing off screen as they into the field. So I think what I can do is, while that these guys are doing this thing here, I can probably set the grid up to change how it all looks. So right now it's looking to be kind of like this. I'll just make sure that everything is set into motion so that I'm not made a fool of when it happens. And now we'll just double check to see if that is correct. No, I'm not joining in. No. Okay, so we will now end the session, and I'll just change the grid order once again because I've got this all. Oh, I've only got this order wrong, so that's not too bad. And again, I'm not joining the race, so just see who's going to cross the line and finish their run. So it doesn't look like, it actually looks like every driver is going to actually finish their qualifying run today. So it looks like Josh Banks has moved up to P4, so I've got to keep that one in mind when that comes into perspective. Is he going to threaten? No, he's 4 seconds off into the second sector, so I don't think it looks like it's going to be too much change at the top. So we'll just wait and see. We'll just wait for everyone to. Of course, Alex is on an outlap, so he won't be able to proceed onwards anyway. So for him, it's game over. For Josh, it's nowhere near it. So I don't think anyone is actually really endangering the system. So I think we're pretty good here. So we will change the grid order so that Josh moves up to P4. And it looks like Matt has jumped. Yep, so it looks like Matt has jumped also Jordan in the process as well. So okay, so without further ado, we'll now get this race underway. So Alex spinning off in the exit curb there, and we've got ourselves a race. So hopefully that transition for the grid was a little bit less messy than last weekend, so I do still apologise for that much. We've got our grid all lined up and ready to go. So Alex Little on pole from Owen Bennett, then it's Sebastian Spicer, Joshua Banks, Cameron Betts, Matthias Vicelli, John Lindberg and Matthew Elliott, and then Jordan Dittmer makes up the rear of the field. So pretty poor qualifying for the two Team Keenan Autosport Racing Porsches, but they'll surely come back of the race. The lights are out and away we go. It looks like it was a very poor start there by Owen Bennett, as Sebastian Spicer is now going to claw his way into second place. Alex Little will lead them off into turn one. Looks like Jordan Dittmer's actually had a real good start, but he's also might have just cleaned up Cameron Betts in the process. In fact, almost immediately, yeah, the whole field is spreading out quite massively. Matthias Vicelli's had an off. John, I think, has had an off as well. The field is actually, despite everything, and Jordan's got a massive penalty on his head here. So Matthew Elliott's had a brilliant start. He's just been overtaken for position 4, but he managed to get himself ahead of the field. Owen's managed to actually soar himself ahead of Alex Little heading into, oh sorry, not Sebastian Spicer during all this. Sebastian just ranging on the back here. Matthew Elliott's just giving Josh a little bit of a tap and hurry up. Jordan's actually gone off the circuit heading into the last portion of the corner. Matthias just looks like he's struggling, so all that practice pace has amounted to nothing in the end for the Argentinian, who's moved from the Supercar Championship over to the Porsche Carrera Cup. And Alex Little just holding on to the position there as and just thanks for watching, Robin. Yeah, it was a bit of an F1 2018 start, wasn't it? So so Alex Little leads from Owen Bennett, Sebastian Spicer right up Owen's gearbox, but of course Sebastian also has a time penalty on his head for corner cutting, but here he comes. He's going to try and make a move here up the inside at Remus, but doesn't pull it off. Josh has also got a penalty that he's trying to reduce. Matthew Elliott is doing really well for himself. Oh, I've given him the commentator's curse. What have I done? I'm so sorry, Matthew, but keep it together, mate. You're doing good. John Lindberg now moves up to P6. The field just clawing their way through. Matt's going to trundle himself back through. Oh, Sebastian having a look down the inside at Owen at Schlossgold. That's going to set the door up for Josh Banks to have a look up the inside. The championship points leader As Josh actually, oh, Josh has just given his own teammate a hit in shoulder and is throwing Sebastian completely offline. But Josh is just taking no prisoner today. He's obviously trying to consolidate his points lead as much as possible. In fact, if no, Alex won't take. Yeah, actually, Alex would take the lead, maybe. I don't know, but another penalty there for Josh. Yep. So both Josh and Sebastian are just racking up penalties. Sebastian won't be too overly pleased that his own teammate has basically hit pin shot, just given him a hit up the rear and sent him away. In fact, you can see the frustration almost a little bit as he's gone horrendously wide into the last corner or first turn. Matt's got a bit of catching up to do. Jordan's got himself a time penalty. Matthias has got a time penalty. Cameron Betts attacking John Lindbergh. I don't know if this is John attacking Cam or Cam attacking John. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll just see as John tries to go around the outside at Remus and almost actually pulls it off through the traction. Cameron doing his absolute best. They're going to go door to door, heading down into Schlossgoal, turn 3. And who's going to be the first of the late breakers? John. I thought with John having ABS off would have been braking as little as possible to avoid going off the circuit, but he's actually managed to keep it together and he's actually got the job done. So I'm thinking it must be John coming back onto the attack. So understandably, John last weekend was admitted to not having the greatest of starts and hasn't been able to get the best out of the Porsche on the first opening lap. This time around he didn't exactly qualify well enough to be in a position, as Cameron now will try and have a go at him through Rint, heading into Red Bull Mobile. That may earn, or actually that actually earned Cameron a time penalty for contact there. So the game's obviously seen fit to punish Cam for that instance and not give John the penalty, because John of course was parked offline. Sebastian's just got a 17th penalty. In fact, what's going on here, the change for the lead here is the top 4 have all bunched up quite massively, as Alex made a mistake somewhere, because all of a sudden he's now caught in a battle with the other 4 drivers. I would think maybe he's got a penalty and he's decided rather than try and pull away and make a gap, he's actually going to lose a spot here to Owen. So change for the lead imminent. No, Alex does the last of the late breakers into Schlossgoal, which stops him from losing the spot. But yeah, he must have had a penalty and decided to drop it rather than try and just drive to the number. As for tyre and fuel, it is a expected one-stop race, but as far as whether or not that's going to be the way to go for this race is anyone's guess. So Joshua Banks now looking mighty eager to have a go at Owen at Remus. Doesn't quite work. In fact, Owen got a bit twitchy through Remus himself, so he's kind of set himself up to go under attack here by the championship points leader. Alex looking just not like he's got the pace. Here comes Owen. Is he gonna? He's gonna throw it down the inside. Alex tries to go for the switchback, doesn't get it done. Sebastian's attacking from the outside, so change for the lead at last, and Owen now takes the lead of the race. Alex is now going to drop 3 positions in the space of a corner. Sebastian's going to make it 3 wide, heading into Rint. And contact between the top 2 as Josh tries to go around the outside of Owen heading into this corner. I've never seen this many cars battling for the lead. This competition is at its finest. Alex now trying to redeem himself. Goes down the inside of Josh at Schlossgoal. Owen gives Sebastian a huge whack up the inside, heading into turn 1. Cameron's now actually managed to get back onto the back of John. He's cleared Matthias, and Cameron now on the back, but you just can't really take your eyes off this battle at the moment, because you've got 4 of the fastest drivers in the Porsche Carrera Cup category all now stoushing for what is the effective race lead of the race. Now, a real testament of this battling would be who is going to blink first and draw the undercut fashion. Now, looking at the tyre wear at the moment, we're only lap 5 of 20, so we're only just raced a quarter distance. The tyres aren't looking too worn out, so you could almost tantalize the idea of not pitting for tyres, but do still make a fuel stop. Alex, I think, just got sold the dummy a little bit there. I think Josh imitated a move up the inside, which threw Alex off guard a little bit. Here comes Josh trying to go around the outside. Owen's going to follow it through. Change for the lead yet again. Owen nearly just about giving Josh a rear end off the circuit. So we've got to change for the lead again. Josh Banks now takes the lead. Alex drops back to P3. Sebastian has been the only driver out of these top 4 cars as Owen now goes down the inside at Schloss Gold. Oh, keep it together, boys. Keep it on the track. Bit of biff and bars, but change for the lead yet again as Owen now takes the lead of the race. Sebastian has been the only driver of these top 4 not to have been actually able to get the lead of the race in all this. So now we've got another battle here too. We've got the top positions 5 to 8 all in combat. Jordan is lingering a bit back, and Matt's just not having the race he would have loved to have had. Here we go again. So Josh again, really good run out of the last turn. I'm thinking that there must be a parity difference in who's using what when it comes to the assist factor, because it looks like Josh is really strong out of the faster corners, whereas Owen seems to be a lot quicker coming out of the slower corners, which almost suggests to me that Owen might be using a form of traction to keep the car in a, stop the car from losing control, and it's very apparent from that, just basing itself off the thing. So Owen's going to go defensive here to stop anyone from trying to make a move up the inside. Alex could be a cheeky guy here and make it 3 wide. He is going to make it 3 wide, heading into Rint, and he's going to take the lead of the race by doing that. Josh is being carted a little offline because of this. But again, watch as Owen's straight line seems to have so much more traction coming out of the second turn, that he's just able to just get that car launched up the inside at Schloss Gold and get the job done. Sebastian will be just kind of sitting there going, why can't I overtake these people? Like, these 3 are all chopping and changing positions so rapidly, as Alex now has a look up the inside at Roush. It's not an ideal overtaking spot, but he's going to try it anyway. It's going to set him up quite nicely for Worth Curve, and Owen, I think, actually just got caught off guard there. Oh, and a bit of a whack there by Josh Banks gives Sebastian an invitation to have a go, and that's actually separated the top 2 now from the top 4. John has been able to now pull the gap away from Cameron, who's just cleared Matthias, who's got a 1.8 second penalty. Jordan's still within a shot of maybe making a difference here. Matt's just still hungering back, and these top 4 still going at it. And Sebastian this time is a lot closer, and I think if Sebastian's... Oh, there's a bump there by the other things. Sebastian could finally take the lead of the race. If he's got enough of a run. I think he actually got compromised a little bit there by the domino effect by the car stopping. Owen's going to actually try and throw the car down the inside at the last turn, turn 2. He's actually got it done, but the acceleration out of the second corner wasn't good enough for him to be able to actually hold on to it. And now he's got Alex Little for company along the inside. Sebastian still just saying, why can't I overtake all 3 of these guys and lead the race at least once? He's going to go down the inside of Alex and make that job stick at least. Alex is going to try and force the issue around the outside. I have not seen a more closer race for the battling in any category that I've commentated for in my life. So this is definitely one of the most exciting races I've seen in such a long time. And in saying that, John is not exactly in a position to be worrying about this, because he's catching these people up as they battle, and he's pulled away from the other drivers. So now we're starting to look into a phase where the fuel is starting to become a situation. So you would probably pit at lap 10 if you wanted to go for an even tyre strategy. Now, these 4 are all battling for position, so the person who blinks first, as Sebastian's now got a time penalty of a second for excessive cutting, but he's not going to worry about that just yet, because he knows that there are particular corners on the track that do reduce your penalty if you do take it in the right direction. Now he's got a run on Owen, and he might use this momentum to slingshot himself ahead of Owen and then challenge Josh. So as you can see, he is dropping off a little bit, and there you go, he's dropped the penalty straight on the marker, but he's ghosting as a result of it, which could have almost set Alex up to just drive through him, take the lead of the race. Owen had a look there on Josh and didn't get it done. Sebastian now is going to actually have a look down the inside at Schlossgold. This is usually Owen's overtaking manoeuvre, so for Owen to be overtaken at Schlossgold, he'll be a little daft about that one. He'll be kind of sitting there going, well that's just not cricket. So the pit window is going to open round about now. So for these drivers, it's really going to be a matter of who plays the strategy card, who's going to underfuel their car, who's going to risk not pitting for tyres. All these factors play a huge part in dictating how this race transcends. Now, I think for Alex, he would have been looking at the idea that he was going to run away with this race a little bit based on his impressive qualifying feat. Now, Owen's the first to blink, so Owen is blinking quite... It's a 10... So he... And yeah, and I think I know why. I think Owen's hasn't been fuel saving, so it's not been helping him in that fray. So Owen now in. I'll just wait and see what's happening here, because I think Sebastian's now going to finally, for the first time in this race, actually take the lead. So Sebastian down the inside. The battling has almost kind of settled in a little bit, so they're not too overly aggressive. Now Alex has got a 3.2 second penalty all of a sudden, so Mr. Consistency has been really naughty, and he actually is slowly dropping it. In fact, I think it just increased again back to 3.2. Now let's have a look at Owen's situation. So Owen's filled it back up to the brim, and he has changed his tyre, so he's not too bothered by that. Cameron Betts has done the same, Jordan has done the same, and Matthew Elliott is now coming in to service himself. Now, again, I say it again, as Alex just doesn't seem to be able to drop this 3.2 second penalty. I wonder if that's a bug or something, because it just seems like every time I catch a glimpse of it... Oh no, it's just doing it because I'm just watching them. So, here we go. What's happening here? Everyone... Okay, so the top two are reacting. Alex is electing to stay out, which could... I mean, he's definitely got enough fuel to burn to be able to do that. In fact, I think he's about to get a lap on Matthew Elliott. Matthew could play a part. Now, looking at the fuel strategy, so Sebastian should be able to, by virtue, jump Josh in the pit stop. But that's only if he decides to use that extra 3 laps, or that extra 3 litres that he should. We'll just wait and see what Josh does. Does Josh... Just waiting to see. No, so Sebastian utilised the pit stop to a full effect and has managed to stay ahead. And here comes Owen. So, has Owen's undercut strategy worked? The answer to that question is actually no. In fact, if anything, the undercut has actually served to hurt Owen quite a bit, but that would also be on the account that Owen had a lot more fuel to put in. So the fuel strategy plays a huge part in it, but for Sebastian, this now puts him in the effective race lead, because once Alex has been trying to drop his penalty down, but is Alex going to come in this lap, or is he going to try and push it out a bit more and have the fresher tyre effect? It looks like he is going to stay out another lap, but I think, I hate to tell you, Alex, I think you might have just earned yourself another second penalty for that. No, obviously not. But he has punched in a personal best, which is only 3/10 off the fastest lap of the race. Matthias has just got a 1.8 penalty. Someone's gone off, or has gone off, did go off or something. Hard to say. Matthew Elliott has actually elected to... so it must have been Matthew that had the off, and he's elected to call it a day. So, but hard luck there for Team Ken Autosport with one car now out of the race. John Lindbergh actually... Oh, and Owen's gone off at That's really long way off our Remus. And that's actually allowed John Lindbergh through, so we still got a battling bunch here between Sebastian and Josh. So these two are effectively fighting for the race lead at the moment. Alex has managed now to drop his penalty down to 1.9 seconds, but the more time he loses by dropping this penalty, the more risk he is of trying to push a lot harder to try and get to the back of those two once he makes a stop. In saying that, however, the longer he stays out, the less he has to fill. So he's going to come in now because he won't survive another lap if he doesn't. Matthias will be in the same boat as well. Alex's penalty went up again to 1.8 seconds, so I don't know what's happened there, but Sebastian still eager to get past that teammate of his who did inadvertently hit him off the track at one point. So let's see, so fuel stop. So Alex only needs to put in 8 laps worth of fuel, which he could underfuel himself, and these two battling might not have helped their cause too much as Sebastian goes wide, which will probably give him another second penalty for it. No, he's actually gone out of it quite lucky, and here comes Alex. So Alex's overcut has worked to actual ultimate effect. Sebastian down the inside of Josh at turn 2. So these two battling have actually given Alex a hefty gap. So Alex's choice to stay out an extra lap, and he could drop the penalty now if he wanted to. He's got enough of a gap that he could drop the penalty and just now carry on with the race, because these two are battling too much for anything. And if anything else, Matthias has made a beautiful strategy to actually still only be 6 seconds behind the battling duo of Josh Banks and Sebastian Spicer, and John's done a good job to stay where he is, but he's going to come under attack from Owen, and I think, oh, there goes Cam, he's just struggling for grip. Jordan just trundling along, just saw a shot there of Alex in the background. Still got a 1.3 second time penalty. He's not dropping it, so he's not obviously too concerned that, well, he's got the better tyre now, and I think he's underfueled his car quite a bit, so I don't know what the strategy behind that will be and whether he will make it to the end. So compared to the other two, Alex definitely has the less amount of fuel, but he does have the slightly better tyres, which probably doesn't really correlate to a hell of a lot at the end of schemes, but it does mean that he will have slightly better tyres at the end of the race to contend with. As somebody, the timing monitor just shifted around for a second, but I'm not 100% sure what it was for. Anyway, John attacking. Well, actually, John, if anything, is slightly catching Matthias, but at the same time, he's got Owen still for company there. Alex now out to a 7.4 second gap over Josh Banks, who's now starting to actually slowly leave Sebastian behind. Josh will be trying his absolute hardest to catch Alex, but I think I'm a bit surprised by Alex's strategy that he was able to stay out that much longer and then the overcut being that much more powerful. But I would say a lot of that would have also had to have done with the fact that Josh and Sebastian would have been battling throughout that whole of their outlap, which meant that the more they were battling, the more time they were losing. So these two are still going hard at it, John Lindbergh and Owen Bennett. Cameron Betts a little further back, but could still potentially... The one thing I've noticed about Cameron, and it's a really interesting feat, is that sorry, his pace is really good. His pace is probably among the top 4 as well, but the first lap in the previous 2 races just have not been kind to him, so I think all it needs is just a little less aggression at the start, and I think you could see him battling for position. Jordan's actually done a pretty good job today. He's not overly behind the leaders. He's only 40 seconds behind the race leader. But, oh, so looks like Cameron's had an off. Made a mistake. That might incentivise Jordan to take a spot, but of course, if he does, it's not gonna... I don't want to be blunt or anything, but I don't think that will pass, as Owen now is on the back of John, who is 21 seconds behind the race leader, and that's a telling point beyond anything of the differences between two games. In F1 2018, he is the fastest, if not, well, one of the fastest, if not the fastest in the F1 category. Of course, he didn't attend last weekend at Silverstone, and he had a pretty shocking start at Bahrain in the season opener. So a pretty tardish start for John Lindbergh in the F1, but still sits among the top qualifiers and race winners of the season last season. But now 22 seconds behind the race leader. And Sebastian's now... Well, Sebastian's still within striking range of second place, but he's just... The problem with the track is that as he goes down the inside, is he going to actually make this stick? It does try to stop Josh from getting the over and under by kind of giving one back. The problem is that when you're in such close proximity of the driver in front, or driver behind, or whatever you want to look at it, as Josh now tries to go around the outside of Sebastian at Schlossgold. But Sebastian will have the inside run and should... Well, he should have held on to it, but it looks like Josh has managed to try and force the issue, though this time I think Sebastian's got the job done, and that might be on the account of Josh. Yeah, Josh... Well, actually, the fuel... Now, this is something... Okay, so now have a look at this. Now, remember when I told you guys that when Alex came in, his fuel was worse than Josh and Sebastian's? Well, look at it now. They are all on the same amount of fuel. So Alex has been fuel saving, but at the same time he's been able to keep the pace as Jordan, no, Cameron again. That's turn one. So he's lost a lot of time somewhere, and he's ended up in the fence, and that'll be likely to be day done for the young Brit. I wonder if Jordan might have had a part in that one. I don't know. It's hard to say. Jordan does have a 1.6 second penalty, which could almost suggest a bit of foul play there. It's hard to say, as it is day done for the young Brit. So of the 9 drivers we have, 7 remain, and the battle for second place still heats up. The gap has increased to 11.4 seconds as Alex has just been able to control the pace, which kind of suggests a little bit he must have been playing a different strategy at the start of the race, which was why he was being set up to be overtaken quite a fair bit by the top two, well, the other 3 drivers, and in doing so was saving fuel so he could stay out and perform the overcut. So a very variant strategy that's paid off for him. Owen's actually dropped back off the rear of John's car as he's trying his hardest to make ends meet. John just keeping the consistency up. He's had 3rd place, he's had a 4th place, a 2nd place and a 4th place. He would love more than anything to have a 1st place and a 3rd place, but I think today he's going to have to settle for a 5th place unless something happens to Matthias or anyone else in the top 3 positions. Sebastian's got a penalty and he's now getting attacked again by Josh Banks. The 2 teammates slugging it out, which is just helping Alex chug and chug and chug more time out into the race. So gap now is 12.7 seconds. Josh is now making a move up the inside of Sebastian. Sebastian would have been just dropping his penalty so that he could attack again. So keep an eye on that one as Sebastian goes in the attack again. John with a 5/10 penalty as he goes horrendously wide. He nearly dropped his penalty doing it. He'll be lucky in knowing that Owen's got a penalty now himself, so they both will have to drop it if they want to stay within a shot of each other. Now Jordan's coming in I don't think it's a splash, or it could be a splash and dash, because it doesn't look like he might. It actually does look like he might not be filled to the end, so we'll just see. It was a pretty decent fill, about 40 litres, so he's obviously just made a certain of himself that he's done things. So Josh Banks still holds the fastest lap of the race of a 29.5. That hasn't actually, oh no, it has kind of come under siege a little bit, only 3/100ths of a difference though, as Sebastian now comes down the inside of, looks like I still can't do onboards when I'm watching the race, so that's a bit disappointing, despite the fact that you can do it through qualifying, but oh well. What I might do actually is I'll just quickly now change to this mode. Here we go, so that's fixed it. So we're going to watch here as Sebastian tries to attack the, I don't know why that's suddenly a thing, but oh well. Sebastian's also changed his, oh yeah, Sebastian's changed his number to 16 because of opposed to Oliver. So can he make anything here as Alex will soon start the final lap. We'll just see if, no, so we'll just keep on this for a minute as Sebastian now getting really close to the back of Josh's car, heading through Roush, and then with curve, let's see how they approach it. So Josh is very loose coming out of there. That's actually given Sebastian a huge run, and as he's done that, he's actually ended up on the back of Josh's car, which has compromised his run. Josh will have the inside line here, and usually the preferred line. Another bump there, that stops Sebastian from getting the over and under as Alex embarks on the final lap. But Sebastian's going to have the run here, and we'll just wait and see. You can see Josh's character actually does look for a second. They're going to go side by side into turn one. Josh tried to get the over and under, but it didn't work, so that's the position done there. But for Alex Little, who I think has just gone purple into sector one, looking to try and steal the fastest lap on the final lap, definitely got the fuel. Well, actually, he doesn't really have the fuel. He's actually starting to burn it, so my guess would be that he is going to go for the fastest lap to seal a perfect weekend for the young New Zealander, only 19 years of age. So quite a few young drivers in here. I think Josh sits at, no, actually Cameron would sit at the youngest at 14. So Alex 2/10 down in the final sector. He won't catch Jordan at the end, so Jordan will stay on the lead lap, but whether he'll make it across the line to be classified remains to be seen. He'll have 100 seconds after Alex crosses the line to make it so. So Alex Little, it's going to be 2 from 2 for him, and 2 race wins out of the 3 contested so far in the Trans Nation Porsche Challenge. It's Alex Little who takes it out at the Redbull 125, and this battle is still unresolved. What will Sebastian do? He's going for the under and oh, they've come together on the final 2 corners. I think Sebastian is going to get a penalty. No, Josh has got a penalty for a contact. They're going to come together. Sebastian is going to take P2 through it all, and Josh will have to settle for P3. So that's going to be a blow to the championship there. Matthias Pacelli will bring it home, rear of the field to P4, and Owen Bennett will bring it home, P5. John Lindberg, a strong result, must have lost the position to Owen at some point, but he'll bring it home in P6, and we'll just wait and see if Jordan Dittmer can make it. The timer is counting down, and as we just draw closer and closer to the end of this race, so I will try and get these guys to invite me back into the party so I can have a chat with them. Oh no, it's already in effect now, so I'll just transfer myself over there while I wait. And here we go. So we're back into the comm box, back into the Parc Ferme events here. Alex Little, congratulations, 2nd win out of 2 races contested for you so far this season. Looked like it was a really exciting race in the first stint, but then it looks like your overcut strategies paid dividends in the end, and it was a very cruisy race win. But just talk us through those laps where the top 4 were just battling to and fro like there was no tomorrow.
Well, first of all, you put the slipstream on strong, so we're literally literally slipstreaming each other, and well, I decided, well, not even I could have pulled away because the slipstream was so strong. So I decided to hang back, save fuel, wait till everybody pit, save the tires, and do the overcut and push really hard. Matt gave me a big, big lump of slipstream, which really helped me do the overcut. So all about trying to get into clean air and push hard, and that overcut gave me the gap I needed to cruise home.
Despite the yeah, I just noticed how I keep going strong, but they did actually tantalise quite an interesting race between the top 4. So thanks for your time there, Sebastian Spicer. I've got to say, and I probably was reciting it quite a bit in the comm box, you would have been thoroughly frustrated at the idea that through that whole battling system you never once took the lead of the race, but a second place finish on the line through a penalty of Josh at the end. Good battling between you two. Looked like you two kind of squared each other up, with Josh giving you a punt off at turn 1, and then you've kind of returned the favour on the last lap. But yeah, must have been difficult to grasp the idea that the top 3 were swapping positions and you were just stuck there in P4 the whole time.
Yeah, it was an alright race. GG to Alex, good race when he pulled out a pretty good strategy to save fuel in the first stint. I was trying to do that, didn't think about changing my engine mode. Probably could have affected it, but ended up probably around the last corner, ran out of fuel, and Josh gave me a tap up the rear and didn't realise. And yeah.
Well, it's a great result for you, and it complements a great race between the top 4 as well. Josh Banks P3, just that whole chopping and changing of the race positions, ignoring the rule being different for the race itself. That whole process must have been exciting as well as irritating at the same time.
Yeah, it was quite fun at the start of the race. I didn't quite think of changing my fuel engine mode, but smart there of Alex. But yeah, me and Seb were having a good battle, and yeah, didn't realise he ran out of fuel in the last corner. Otherwise, I would have jumped him. But oh well.
What can I say? It's been one of the most exciting races I've seen in the history of Drains Nation racing, or motorsport racing, or online racing in general. I haven't seen a race like that for a long time. So congratulations to our top 3 drivers. Congratulations to all the drivers who took part. Great drive by John Lindberg again to stay consistent, though probably needs to work on his race starts more than anything. 0-2 looked like he had a good qualifying. His race start compromised him as well, and unfortunate for our 2 DNFs of Cameron Betts and Matthew Elliott. So without further ado, we'll draw it a close here for the Porsche Carrera Cup. Of course, later on this afternoon we have the Trans Nation Supercar Sprint for the grid. Of course, that doesn't get covered. Next season we will have a full coverage of every race weekend on the Saturdays. So the whole Saturday will be a race weekend. And then tomorrow, of course, we do have the Redbull 125 race for the Supercar Championship. 30 laps around the circuit. So you've seen 20, so add another 10, maybe change the fuel mode up, and of course change the cars, and then you'll see what we've got installed for tomorrow. And of course tomorrow we also have the Brazilian Grand Prix for the Trans Nation Formula 1 World Championship. The top 3 categories, well, the only 3 categories I should say, will go at it once again. So without further ado, it's Brett Keenan signing out from the Red Bull Ring for the Porsches, and we'll see you next weekend at Sydney, Australia for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 125.